Hey everyone! In today's tutorial, I'm going to show you the magic of using multiple stamps in the MISTI for layering or piece together stamp sets. Now this takes some doing. I'm going to use the Thankful Life stamp set from Stampin' Up! To create this image, and you can see I have all of these stamps set up on the MISTI. You really have to kind of hold your mouth just right to figure this out. This took me a little bit of time, but once you do it, it really makes it easy to make multiples of a really cute card and make sure all these images are in the right place. So I wanted this vase coming off the edge of the card or coming into the card from the edge. Now, once you've done this a few times, you might want to put Post-it notes on the other stamp images after you ink your image. This will keep any residual ink from transferring onto your project. Once you've done a few of these, you learn that that is the safest way to do it. So I'll be stamping the vase image in Smoky Slate. Now always make sure that your card is in the corner of the MISTI or lined up the way you want it to. I'm not going to be using just the corners this time if you're going to be over stamping. And that's so that it's stamping in the same place every time and you don't get a blurry image. It's the hallmark of the MISTI. And I love how dark Smoky Slate gets when you overstamp it a few times. It really gives you two different colors of ink. I clean my photopolymer stamps with the absorber. That makes sure there's no lint on there. And then I just wipe them off with my hand to make sure that they're dry. You also don't want any water on your project since this is Whisper White cardstock. So the next image I'm going to do is the foliage in the image. The order that I'm doing them in isn't the order that you have to do them in. It's just what I found to be the easiest for alignment. So in this stamp set, I like the foliage. It gives me a few focal points to look at when I'm lining up the other images. And you can see I didn't get that inked all the way. Sometimes your ink pad will have a little valley in the center, and so you might mistake that for a problem with the stamp, but it's actually just that you need to move the ink pad around the image a little bit to get the more raised portions on the stamp. I'm sorry for the frog in my throat. This is cedar season in Texas, and we are all dying of this terrible plague of the pollen from this tree, but I wasn't going to let it stop me because the New Occasions mini catalog is out and we just have to soldier on. So I stamped the extra ink off of that image, and now I got to figure out where I lined up the other stamps. I have two pieces of tape to tell me where I had these images, and that way I can just line my cardstock up against the washi tape. I could have just written down the measurements, but I would rather have a visual cue. But you'll see in just a minute, even that sometimes fails me when I'm trying to remember where the stamps are positioned. But what I love about the original MISTI is this is a pretty big stamp set, and I can get all of these in here. So I had lined this up at the 5-inch mark. And the next stamp, I'm going to switch to my left hand so I don't get ink on the rightmost stamp. The next image is a bunch of little blossoms, which I'm going to do in Crushed Curry. Or Daffodil Delight. I might be lying to you right now. I can't remember which it is. And that one actually stamped really well. So I don't need to over stamp that one, but I'm going to do it anyway because I can. And I enjoy this feature so much. And now you can see how the images line up and how perfectly they're aligned with the foliage stamp. So again, clean it with my absorber. And I love how crisp these little tiny images are. I think this is such a cute set. I'll get any extra moisture or ink off of there. You can see that I had a little bit of ink left on there. And now I'm gonna hold my mouth just right and try to figure out where I have the last image, which is the Melon Mambo image. And that wasn't it. And that wasn't it. And for some reason, I'm not paying attention to the tape at all when I'm doing this. But I finally figure it out and line it up with the piece of tape that's on the other side. And actually, instead of the cardstock lining up with the side nearest me of the tape, it's lining up with the farthest side from me. So if you're better at kind of remembering that and looking for these visual clues, like this little arrangement of flowers, then you will have an easier time of this. But once you know where it is, now when I go to make multiples, it's going to be so easy. And what I would do for multiples is I would do all of the pink ones at once, all the vases at once, all the yellow ones at once, instead of switching from one to the other, because that way you're going to save a lot of time in the cleaning and covering up of the other images. If you can just crank out each color at once, you're going to have a big stack of really beautiful cards really fast. So like I said, this little arrangement down lower left of the image makes it so easy to line up the last few stamps. And now I have a nice, crisp, fun, perfectly aligned little image that I can make birthday cards or all occasion cards with. So I hope you've enjoyed this. Thanks so much for watching.